Did you know that most first-time homeowners underestimate their annual housing costs by thousands of dollars? It's not just the mortgage, it's everything else that comes with owning a home.
Oh, that's a big one. It's like you think you've crossed the finish line when you close on the house, but really, you're just getting started.
Exactly. And today we're breaking down the 7 hidden costs that catch new homeowners off guard. These are the expenses that can turn your dream home into a financial headache if you're not prepared.
So let's start with the first one, property taxes. This one's sneaky because most buyers base their budget on the seller's current tax bill, which makes sense at first glance.
It does, but here's the catch. In many areas, your property gets reassessed at the new purchase price when you buy it. If the seller bought the house years ago, their taxes were likely based on a much lower value.
And that reassessment can lead to a significant jump in your property tax bill, sometimes in the second year of ownership.
Exactly. And if your lender didn't escrow enough to cover the higher taxes, you could end up with a surprise bill or a higher monthly mortgage payment.
It's like a double hit. Just when you're settling into home ownership, you're hit with this unexpected cost.
The best way to avoid this is to ask your lender or realtor about potential tax reassessments before you close. That way, you can budget for the possibility of an increase instead of being blindsided.
Moving on to the second hidden cost, homeowners insurance. This one's a classic. You get your first insurance quote and you think, okay, this is manageable. But then renewal time comes around and suddenly your premium is higher.
And it's not always because of something you did. Insurance premiums have been rising in many parts of the U.S. due to things like increased storm activity, higher rebuilding costs, and regional risk factors.
So even if your rate looks affordable on closing day, you can't assume it'll stay that way.
Exactly. And this is why it's smart to shop your policy every year or two. Even if you stick with the same insurer, it's worth asking about discounts or adjustments that could help offset those increases.
And speaking of increases, let's talk about HOA fees. Homeowners Association dues can be a real surprise for first-time buyers.
Oh yes. If you're buying in a neighborhood, condo, or planned community, there's a good chance you'll owe monthly or annual HOA fees. And these often aren't obvious from the listing price alone.
And what do those fees typically cover?
It depends on the community, but common items include shared amenities like pools or gyms, landscaping in common areas, building exterior maintenance for condos or townhomes, trash removal, or even security services.
What buyers often forget is that HOA fees can increase year over year, and some communities issue special assessments, one-time fees for major repairs like a new roof or repaving a parking lot.
Right. So it's not just the monthly or annual fee you need to budget for, it's also the possibility of those special assessments.
This is why it's so important to review the HOA documents before closing. Ask about past special assessments and whether any are planned for the near future.
Okay, let's talk about utilities. This one's a big adjustment for a lot of new homeowners, especially if they're moving from a smaller rental to a larger home.
Absolutely. Renters often pay utilities that are already set up, or they might even have some utilities bundled into their rent. But as a homeowner, you're starting from scratch.
That means setup or connection fees for things like electric, gas, water, and internet. And then there's the fact that your monthly bills are probably going to be higher, especially if you're moving into a larger space.
I mean, think about it. If you're going from a one-bedroom apartment to a 3-bedroom house, your heating and cooling costs are going to go up.
Exactly. And don't forget about things like trash and recycling service fees, which were probably bundled into your rent before.
The key here is to ask the seller for their utility history during the home buying process. That way, you can get a realistic idea of what your monthly costs will look like.
And speaking of early expenses, let's move on to immediate repairs and move-in fixes. Even homes that pass inspection often need some work right away.
Yeah, a home inspection is great for identifying major red flags, but it's not a guarantee that everything will run perfectly on day one.
Common first-month repairs include things like rekeying or replacing locks for security, fixing minor plumbing leaks, patching drywall, addressing pest control issues, and replacing old smoke or carbon monoxide detectors.
And those costs can add up quickly, especially if you're dealing with multiple small fixes all at once.
This is why it's so important to set aside some money for those immediate repairs. Even just a few $100s can make a big difference.
Now, let's talk about appliances and systems wearing out. This one's a bit of a wild card because you never know when something's going to break.
Right? According to national repair data, homeowners often spend between $1,000 and $4,000 plus per year on maintenance and unexpected repairs, depending on the age and size of the home.
And major appliances like water heaters and HVAC systems don't always fail on a convenient schedule.
If your home's furnace is 12 years old at purchase, there's a real chance it'll need replacing sooner than you'd like.
This is why financial experts recommend setting aside 1% to 4% of your home's value annually for maintenance and surprise expenses.
And finally, let's talk about landscaping and exterior maintenance. If you're moving from an apartment, you might not even own a lawnmower or a hose.
Exactly. But as a homeowner, you're responsible for things like lawn care, snow removal, gutter cleaning, driveway repairs, and even tree trimming.
And those costs can add up quickly, especially if you're hiring professionals to handle some of the work.
The key takeaway here is to budget for these expenses ahead of time so they don't catch you off guard.
So, to wrap this up, let's go over some key steps to help new homeowners plan for these costs.
First, ask for the seller's utility history and review the home inspection report carefully.
Second, set aside 1% to 4% of your home's value annually in a dedicated home maintenance savings account.
And third, build a starter emergency fund of at least $1,000 to $2,000 specifically for home repairs.
Remember, the goal isn't to predict every single expense. It's to be prepared enough to handle what comes.
And that's the beauty of home ownership. It's not about being perfect. It's about being ready to tackle the challenges and enjoy the rewards.
Exactly. You worked hard to get here, and a few surprise expenses shouldn't overshadow the fact that this is still one of the best decisions you'll make for your future.
Well said. And with that, we'll leave you to start planning or replanning your homeowner budget.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.